nice vegan meal. Okay, we'll get going. So I guess, look, we're going to cover these topics. So, talking about, I guess, high level of, again, just reinforcing what Fuelin is doing for you. And then we'll go through all the different screens and the elements of Fuelin to make sure everyone's using it as well as they can to get the most out of it. And then we'll have time for Q&A afterwards. You know who we are, so I won't waste your time with that. Okay, so I guess the main thing that I want to reinforce is why an athlete would choose Fuelin. And I think there is so much going on, and going through the process of training for a 70.3, I now realize how much is actually going on for an athlete in terms of understanding training programs and then trying to get their head around what they're meant to be eating. So it's been a very useful exercise for myself to also use Fuelin in that sense, along with training peaks with a coach's training plan. So in the background, there's over 60 calculations occurring now to set out each of your meals. Now, obviously, as an athlete, what you see is either red, yellow, or green, which is sort of nice because it makes it a lot easier for you to get your head around what you should be eating, and that keeps you on track. But so what I really want to reinforce is that we are taking into account all these different elements within your program. And this is why having an accurate training program is really, really important for us to get the right fuel to you. So making sure your session intensity is in there, i.e. Z1, Z2, that's really important for us to understand whether it's lower intensity and whether we should be providing you with maybe a little bit more fat, maybe a little bit more, a little less carbohydrates, but making sure your total calorie intake is the correct amount for the duration of that session. So then the duration of the session needs to be imported as well. Swim sessions in particular. I noticed that so many athletes never put in the duration of a swim, and it does throw out a bit of the calculations because we're not then accounting for up to 60 minutes every week for a single session of swimming. And if that's week on week and you're doing 3 or 4 swim sessions, it's potentially 3 or 4 hours of actual exercise that isn't being logged correctly. And so that's not being used to account for calories that on food prescription that you may actually need. So please ensure that swim sessions have the intensity and the duration in particular. Okay. Weather conditions are obviously really important for when we're looking at things like your sweat rate and your carbohydrate capacity, and when you're doing that. So just take that into account when you are planning, when you are putting in the details in your training plan. Obviously, what we are also taking into account is that fuel and hydration. So if you get the intensity and the duration and the type of session correct, we can accurately prescribe the pre-session fueling, the in-session fueling, and the post-session fueling correctly, the types and the amount there. And the more testing you do, i.e. sweat rate testing and carbohydrate capacity or carbohydrate intake rate, the more detailed the prescription will be for you in terms of the amount of carbohydrates required for the duration of that session, specific to what you can tolerate. And same for the fluid amount that's going to be recommended based on what your sweat rate is. So we're going to use around a 60 to 70% fluid intake rate based on your sweat rate of what you're providing to us for different sessions at different intensities at different temperatures. So the more detail you're putting into the app, the more we'll be able to provide back to you. Does anyone have any questions on that? Or you can actually, you know what? Let's put all your questions into the chat as you're going. If you think of things, just put in the chat and then we'll get to them at the end. Okay. So I think setting yourself up, this is probably, it's the bottom right-hand side. This is your athlete section. So this is where this will all be pre-populated, okay, based on your onboarding when you first sign up for Fuelin. So in that top left-hand corner, if you hit where my name is, if you hit the down arrow, it suddenly brings out what you're on. So at the moment, I'm in season, I'm in body composition. I'm trying to lose a little bit of weight because I'm a bit heavy. So I'm trying to drop weight. My current weight's 81.7. I want to get to 79. You can see all that as you go through. If you need to edit that and you want to edit your focus or your purpose, then hit the edit button. You can then easily edit what you've got. Sorry, my throat's gone. You can then edit that, okay? And you can edit that at any point in time based on whether you're focusing on performance or focusing on body composition, whether you're in season or post season. This is where you can track your weight, okay? There are other ways you can track your weight, but you can certainly see what your progress is. This is also an area where you can then add in sweat tests and carbohydrate tests, and also update the app for any upcoming races. So this is where you sort of manage your account, okay? It's in the bottom right-hand side of the screen. Very important, okay? You can rerun this week's nutrition program plan from here. You can also do that from the home screen, okay? But again, that's what this page is designed for. Now in the top right-hand corner, that little spoke arrow, when you click on that, this is how, if you're having issues with connectivity to things like MyFitnessPal, Apple Health, your training program, say you're on Training Peaks or Final Surge, and you say, my coach has changed to Training Peaks, I need to update and reconnect my program. That is the button you would hit. You would scroll down and you will see connect my training platform. That is where you do that, okay? So it's really important just to have a look, make sure everything is synced up there and everything is correct as to what you want as an athlete. Okay, then we go into your weekly view. So this is your plan. So again, in the nav bar down the bottom, you'll see tap on plan. This will bring up a comparison of weekly calories compared to last week, compared to this week. You'll see a percentage, whether it's a drop, total amount of calories that's been reduced, your average daily calories compared to last week and this week, and your total weekly training hours. Again, as I said, we can only be as accurate as what you provide us. So make sure your total training hours are accurate in whatever training platform you've got. Then we can provide prescription of macros, prescription of energy appropriate to what your purpose is, i.e. body composition or performance. You can see here that I've got a race in 2 months and 14 days that I'm packing about because I haven't been training very long. So it's good for me to just see that reminder, 2 months, 14 days until D-Day. You come down, now you've got this now button. If you hit now, it will take you to the present moment, i.e. today at the particular time. So if I hit it now, it would take me to 11 o'clock within my day, okay, on Friday. You then have manage my nutrition plan. If you hit that, if you hit manage my nutrition plan, you will come to that screen on the right-hand side. Do you want to update this week or do you want to create next week? Now, before you create next week, make sure your training program has all the session details in it. Time of day, duration of sessions, and intensity in there. Hopefully your coach is now putting in the Z score. I know a lot of teams like Purple Patch, 80-20, Valiant Endurance, Toro Performance, they're all putting in the Z score, the number in the session title to help out their athletes, which is really cool. Athletes are loving that. So if you are a coach and you can help the athlete by putting in that number, it certainly makes a big difference. And if you're a coach and don't understand how to do that, please reach out to me. Just send me an email and we can sort that out. So yeah, that's how you create and update your plan. We have changed that. You will notice that we've made it even more clear that it's update this current week with the date or create next week to remove any confusion about what plan you're actually updating. So if we stay on the weekly view, we're still in plan view. If you scroll down, now you'll see all your days of the week, okay? And you see that those days in the week are color coded. I have posted, there is an article about this on our website about, I think it's titled Psychology of Colors. So a lot of athletes will say, oh, I've got yellow day, but I've all got red meals. Why is that? So this is my actual plan here. So you can see my days are yellow because I have between 1.8 or 4 grams per kilo body weight of carbohydrates prescribed to me. In order to get to that amount of carbohydrates, you can see there around 150 grams, that is made up of multiple different colored meals, but in this case, a lot of red meals to get me to that target amount of carbohydrates. So the individual meals could be lower amounts of carbs, but when you add all those up, it comes to a total amount of carbohydrates, which would push me into that yellow carbohydrate amount for the total day amount of carbohydrates. Okay, so that's really important for athletes to understand. You could have a lot of red meals, but the total amount of carbohydrates could put you into a band for a yellow day. Don't be freaked out if you see a yellow day, even if you've got red meals. It's just the total amount of carbohydrates that you're seeing. What we also do is keep fat and protein fairly stable throughout the day. A lot of you will see that. You can see on my left-hand column, I'm aiming for 200 grams of protein, 75 grams of fat. Keeping it stable helps with consistency and adherence. Okay, you know, okay, I've got to get to that amount of protein. I've got to get to that amount of fat. That amount of protein and that amount of fat is going to be dictated what your purpose is, i.e., are you in a body composition or are you in a performance state? There is some differences in the total amounts of protein and fat that would be prescribed for an athlete based on their purpose. I would recommend you go to the website and just read that article. I think it's called The Psychology of Carb Colors. Or Jordan, if you're on, you could maybe share that in the chat if you can find it. Okay, so then.
So what was that?
If you could share that article in the chat, I think it's called The Psychology of Colors. It's on our website.
Okay, yeah.
Cool. Okay, so then we're in the plan view still. And what we've done is gone into the actual day. So you've pressed on the day. So in this case, I've pressed on Thursday. Okay. So on the left-hand side, you've got the expanded view. On the right-hand side, you've got the closed view. In order to do that, if you look on the bottom left-hand corner, you see those two arrows that either come together or go apart. That either condenses the view or it expands the view. I personally use the right-hand view a lot. Okay. In the condensed form, I just look at that and go, okay, yep, I've got a red snack, I've got a run, I've got a red breakfast, I've got that. If I want to see what the detail is of that run, that's when I'll expand it. I know that there's going to be fuel recommended in that session because there's a color on it. Now, what you're seeing here on the right-hand side is the next, it's going to be released. Hopefully it will be released either today or next week. What we're now going to be providing you, every athlete, is the actual individual macros for each meal. So you can see there that for the snack this morning.
Only that one came in.
What's that? What's that, Jordan?
Sorry, my bad.
You're on mute. Sorry. So what you can see there now is what the individual macros will be recommended for the meals in order for you to hit your total targets.
That's awesome.
It is awesome.
Awesome, Scott.
Yeah, it's going to be
great.
It's going to be a bit of a game changer for everyone, I think. Like, we've had this request from a number of pro athletes and high level age groupers to just really help them narrow down. I just don't know. Previously, what we were saying to you is, hey, just divide the number of, divide your protein amount by the number of meals you've got, and that will give you the amount of protein and fat you're meant to be aiming for. We're now doing it for you. Okay. So this is like, it's going to be really big.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I think it'll be really big for athletes. Now, what you'll do, if you're tracking with MyFitnessPal, underneath that will have your amount that you hit for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and you'll be able to completely just see how that compares. So look, we're really excited.
But even just having it here is a game changer. Yeah. That's awesome.
I think it will be really well received. For some of the bigger guys in the program, anyone with 200 grams or more of protein, I will probably talk to you about it, Joe, because the current issue is you'll see that your protein amount's probably going to be about 50 grams of protein or maybe a little bit more per meal. it's not insurmountable, but what we'll probably do, you can see there, I don't have a snack between breakfast and lunch. What we're working on is then probably just bringing in, say, a protein snack, which would just be protein and fat in between breakfast and lunch or something like that, to just reduce, you potentially have a 20 or 30 gram protein snack. And just from a practical standpoint, that's what I would be recommending for you to do if you struggle to hit those amounts in your main meals. It's not a major issue, but just something to flag.
Well, can I ask this
Yeah,
question?
yeah,
Sorry, because this is really cool. Will this adjust based on if your performance or body composition? Because I think where this would really help me is like you have the snack right here before the run, and I struggle like, oh, what should I do from fat, carb, protein on this snack before this run? And you'll say, no, today it's fasted because you're only going whatever, but you're doing the long run. So I want you to get 20 grams of protein, 10 grams of fat, and 30 grams of carbs like you have here. Will it do that?
It will pick up based on what program you're on and what meal you're meant to be having. So say that run this morning for me was 90 minutes. So it was a low intensity Z2 run where I was like, I had to have a meal beforehand. If that was a 60-minute run, Joe, I wouldn't have had a meal beforehand.
Right.
So that snack would have been probably put then to enable me to hit my total carb amounts would have been probably a snack 2 between breakfast and lunch.
Yeah,
so it will look after you from that perspective.
That's awesome. That is so great.
Yeah, it's cool. The other thing I just wanted to highlight there, you can now see on the left-hand screen down the bottom of the session, you can see that it's got like what time of day the session's going to be at, how long that session is, and what the intensity is. So if you see a little a symbol in any of those, in those symbols there, if you see like a red symbol, then you know you haven't actually entered in the details, either the time of day, the duration, or the intensity into your training plan. Okay, and that's really important. So that comes onto the next screen, which is this screen. So if you did see, this is a feature that was released a few weeks ago. Not everyone is aware of this, and it's I did ask a survey recently on the Facebook group about this, and we had a really overwhelming positive response. So I think it was about 89% of users have found this to be extremely useful. So what you can now do is update your training plan directly within Fuelin. This works for Training Peaks and today's plan. It doesn't work for Final Surge at this point in time. We are working with them to improve that.
It still, Scotty, takes in what you actually did. This is just editing pre.
Yep. So this would be, this would be, say if there was a little symbol, say next to, you see where it says Z2 on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
If that was a little red circle and I was like, oh shit, I forgot to put in the intensity. Tap on the run cell. And then if you want to do it within Fuelin, hit edit session. It will then bring up the right-hand screen. You can then go session intensity. Oh, that's right. It's a lower intensity. Tap that. Check that the duration, the time of day, and the date is correct. Hit save. It will then bring up, do you want to rerun your plan or do you want to edit any other sessions? Okay. If you've got other sessions to edit because you realize you haven't done it, hit edit other sessions, go through the rest of your plan in Fuelin, edit them, then hit rerun your plan and you're good to go. That will automatically edit Training Peaks for the coach as well. So you don't have to go back into Training Peaks or today's plan in order to edit your sessions anymore, which again, this was a really important update for a lot of athletes because, things change. Like the pool was shut this morning for me because they had a blackout. So I ended up doing the run that I missed yesterday because my son was sick. I moved my run to this morning. I moved the swim to Sunday. I edited my plan. I then reran my plan. So you obviously need to then rerun your Fuelin plan. Once it's done, my nutrition changes based on the training that is now going to happen for me. And so everything can happen in real time now, okay? Which is, I think, a big update for everyone to understand, and how much work that has gone into that to make that happen, especially from our partners as well. People like Training Beaks and Today's Plan. It's been a really big sort of effort to get that right. But again, it is helping a lot of athletes actually manage their plan appropriately. Okay, and then I just wanted to highlight some of the other features here. So this is the chat feature. So on the left-hand screen, second button on the bottom, chat. So this, anyone who's got issues or you don't understand what's going on, please just reach out rather than saying, ah, shit, I can't use this. It's usually a pretty simple fix. It might be something really trivial that you just didn't realize, you didn't hit a button or something. We can sort it out, okay? Chat is otherwise reserved for co-pilot and one-to-one athletes in terms of getting coaching. If you are autopilot or pilot, you can use that book a call button, which is at the very top, and you can book a call either with myself or Elizabeth. What I would say, I think if you are on the pilot program or the autopilot program, I think when you first start off, booking a consultation with Elizabeth or myself at the very start in conjunction with your first month just makes complete sense. I think you will get so much out of it and just really set you up to use the program, which is how co-pilot and one-to-one obviously works. So I would certainly recommend that. I get it. There is obviously a budget constraint there for some people, but it will give you the most bang for buck out of the program. I can guarantee you that. The screen on the right is actually what I see. So I can see messages coming in from athletes. So it's not a bot replying to you. It is actually us. I just want to make that known. So if you do send messages, we do respond. Just obviously, accept that sometimes there is slight time delay. Obviously, I'm in Australia, you're in America, but we do have Elizabeth and Jonathan there as well, helping out. And then this is down the bottom again in the nav bar, the fuel section. There is the filter. So if you tap on this, you can then hit the breakfast button. It will bring up the screen on the right-hand side. So you can change that to breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert, snack. You can change the filter in terms of lower carb, moderate, higher carb. If you scroll further down, you can filter the type of dietary preference and things like that that you've got. So you can use that there. If you select a product from here, you can favorite it by pressing the love heart. We're going to bring it into the day view. When you select a meal, you'll be able to also favorite a meal quickly like that. We're also improving the fact if you have selected previous meals, then we'll bring those to the top because they're frequently used. The inbuilt filter section has been massively upgraded as well to exclude a lot of items that aren't appropriate for the meal or the timing of day. It was a bug we were trying to get rid of, but now you won't see a can of beer in the morning, thankfully, for a lot of people. I know it was very funny having a shot of tequila or something for breakfast, and a nutrition company was recommending that. It was a bug and we apologize. So now when you look at a yellow breakfast, you will actually have meals that are way more appropriate to be eating. Joe, to your point, what we are working on next iteration is that the actual meals we're going to work out based on the protein content. We're going to have small, medium, and large servings of those meals. And then those meals would be pushed to you specific to the macros that you're actually being told to consume, which I think will be really cool as well. Now, what is interesting, when we look through user profiles, most users do use MyFitnessPal, okay, to track. We accept, look, they are a food tracking service. That is their business. We are not a food tracking service. We're a nutrition prescription service and a training-based nutrition service. So I think using MyFitnessPal certainly makes tracking super easy through Fuelin. Ultimately, where we want to go with this is be able to track everything individually through the app. We are inputting more and more frequently used ingredients. So if you do search for an ingredient, we're adding more and more things in there to add. And we're also going to be hopefully updating that you can just pick number of servings of those individual ingredients. So that's coming as well. Something that some of you use, and I certainly use it a lot, is this hand model. So I don't track every meal or every ingredient like precisely. I will judge that based on the hand size model. So if I have a steak at dinner or a piece of fish, I will generally have something that is around the size of my hand. I will add that as a hand of protein into my tracking. Same with 2 fists of vegetables. If you look through my app, I constantly have just the 2 fists of veggies entered, because that's pretty much what I have with every meal. And that's how I track that. And I track my macros. I tend to do a sort of bastardized version. I track with the hand sizing model. And then for random things, I will use my FitnessPal and scan the barcode. That's how I tend to use it. And I find that gets the most out of the system.
Quick question for you there.
Yeah, go.
Oh, I was just going to say, well, like okay, if I'm in the app now, how would I do I just like, if I'm trying to input my lunch, I just say hand and okay. And it brings up 3 cups of hand of carbs.
So scroll down. I would type in hand of protein or hand,
okay.
And then you would just tap on that and get your protein. One thing like I want to get better with that is like, instead of having, half a hand of protein or a hand of protein or 1.5 hands of protein, it just has hand of protein. And then you pick the number of serves, either half, 1 or 1.5. So that's what we're working on now. It's always like these small things are so technical in the background. I mean, the app developers all get very frustrated with me because I'm like, can't you just build that and do it? And they're like, it's not that easy. So, but certainly just, type in things, just search through, have a search through, and also favorite things. And I'll show you how to favorite into when we get to the Q&A section or the live demo. So I also think it's worth showing you within the fuel section. So if you do hit the fuel section, you'll see that there's, this screen with the products. So I'm just looking at mine. So yeah, you hit fuel, and then you can see there's that fuel hydration supplements. So if you hit the fuel button, it will bring up products that you can purchase directly through the feed. Okay. Every user on Fuelin has an $80 credit or a $100 credit with the feed. If you haven't claimed that, please let us know. We'll show you how to do that. You can also get your free water bottle, Fuelin water bottle, which will be branded with your name. Looks like this. Oh, you probably can't see it. Can you see it? There. Oh, my screen's hiding it. Anyway, I use it all the time. It's super cool. You can purchase any of these products really quickly. Just press buy, and it takes you straight to the feed, and you can just purchase everything. So you can go through fuel, hydration, and then supplements. The supplements part is not through the feed. That are just 2 products or 2 companies that we recommend. One is Pillar, and the other is True Protein. Pillar's had some issues with supply, I think, but they are also shifting into the feed. So that will make it much easier for you to order things like their triple magnesium and their omega-3s, for instance. True Protein, I think you have to order over $100 worth of product, which is pretty much 2 bags of protein. So it's not a problem. And I will say that True is easily the best tasting protein, I think, on the planet. And it's a very good product. And yeah, that's all I need to say about it. Okay. I'm glad that it finished there. Does anyone have any questions specific to any of those slides? And then what I can do is just plug in my phone and show you a bit of a live demo, if that's easier.
I have a question.
Yeah, go, Joe.
Scotty. I put it in the chat. Let me see if I can remember.
Here, I'll bring it up.
It was, so does it adjust? So I went in and changed from body composition to performance. And now I'm on the purple patch half Ironman build.
Yep.
And that's wicked great that that they put the Z scores in there now, because I was not putting them in, but my plan was coming through, and I'm like, oh, something happened there. So that's good. So is it still going off of those? Is there any change because I'm in like a build now, or is it still just really going, it's being calculated off the Z scores anyway?
Well, it'll calculate for the Z scores, but the total duration of your session week on week is going to be one of the biggest factors. So if it's a build, I imagine week on week, probably volume's getting more. Would that be correct?
Right.
So that's where that screen. So here, I'll show you. You guys can see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so that would come back to this screen up the top. Oh. So that volume, total weekly volume. So you can see how this week dropped.
Yeah.
So I lost 16%, and you can see my total calories for the week dropped as well up the top based on that.
So the net is really the intensity is going to change a bit. The volume's going to change a bit on a race build. So, but the app's still going to pick it up because it's off of volume and intensity from Z scores and volume.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter if I'm in a base plan or a build plan, because it's building off the Z scores and the volume.
It's going to take into account, what you're doing, like, whatever your plan is, we're going to take that into account.
But so I was wondering this question, Scotty, because remember last year as we got close to race day, that week just jacked up on the carbs.
Mm-hmm.
Was that because my race plan was in its last week, or because I put into the app that there's a race that week?
You had a race.
Okay.
So you had a race. So we're obviously going to look at when is your race, because then we want to make sure that you're not in a caloric deficit that week, certainly.
Right.
And then build that amount of carbohydrates to then incorporate the carbohydrate load that 48 to 24 hours beforehand.
Okay, because I loaded in all my races.
Cool. That's perfect. But make sure the races are created as events. That's really important as well, actually, Joe. That's a really good point. So all races within your training program or platform, Training Peaks, Today's Plan, Final Surge, should be created as an event. The duration and the distance of that event should be entered in the details, and just obviously in the title of the event, whatever it is. If it's Oceanside 70.3, then that's what it is. Make sure those details are correct, because then we can pick that up as well.
Got it. Okay, that's awesome. Thank you.
Cool. So if we look through, this is and you can see I forgot to enter dinner last night. So what you can see here is I use a bit of a bastardized version of the plan. So I was meant to go for a run yesterday morning. I got up and I had wheat toast. But then my child was sick, so I couldn't go for the run, but I'd already eaten the wheat toast, but I obviously then reorganized my plan and reran it. Now I'd obviously eaten the wheat toast, so that stays there. So then I had to adjust what I was eating for the rest of my breakfast, trying to hit 60 grams of protein, 20 grams of fat, 50 grams of carbs, based on the fact that I'd already had the wheat toast with almond butter. So I had some boiled eggs, coffee, and I also had, so this is where I would do fists of veggies, 2 fists of veggies, because I had 2 big fistful of arugula in that, and I would add those in. Okay, so that's what I had for breakfast. So I had the toast, I had the eggs, I had a flat white, pretty customary for an Aussie, and then I had big handfuls of salad. That was my breakfast. It was pretty basic, it was pretty simple. But you can see here at lunchtime, I actually logged my lunch really specifically through MyFitnessPal. Okay. I don't know if I can, it can take you to, sorry, Ed. So then I can go to MyFitnessPal and look at diary. What day was I looking at? Thursday. Yep. So there's my lunch yesterday. That's what I ended up, I had a toasty. So I had, all this in a toasty. I obviously had way too much fat. I had 2 slices of cheese in there, and Mel was like, "Why are you having 2 slices of cheese? That's stupid." And I was like, "No, it's going to be fine." And then I realized it absolutely blew out my fat content for the day, which was, good to see again. So you can see there my fat content, because I had chose salmon or mackerel salmon in it, plus the extra cheese, it obviously blew out the fat content for that. Otherwise, I would have been pretty good. I did have the snack, the shake. So I had that yesterday. You just, again, what I'm doing there, I'm tapping on the snack. It's pre-populated for me. Yep, I had that, add that, tap that off, and that was consumed. Now, dinner, what did we have last night? I had a piece of fish. The piece of fish was about my hand. So what I'm saying, this is where I would encourage you to use like the servings of hands of protein. So I had a hand of protein. I add that in. That adds in that. What else did we have? We had steamed broccoli, steamed snow peas, and we had, what else do we have? Steamed broccoli, that, and some eggplant. It was about 2 fists of veggies. Okay. Again, I'm happy to track loosely based on that, because I know that my judgment over that food is pretty good. Okay, what else did I have with that? I didn't have any, and this is why you should always track in real time, but that's pretty much what I had. I just had steamed vegetables and a piece of fish with some lemon on top. Now, does that get me pretty close? It's about 45 grams of protein, about 10 grams of fat, and about 20 grams of carbs. Pretty good, okay? I did pretty well, I got pretty close. My total rings are pretty good. If I tap on the rings at the top, okay, my target was 275, 160. I was a bit short on protein. I went a bit over on fat. I was under on carbs. I was about 100 calories short as an estimate for the day. Pretty good, okay? My day has started here. I've had breakfast this morning. Again, what did I do? My favorite. So if I tap on snack and I tap on the love heart button at the top, you can see it brings up things that I have favorited in the past. These are the snacks that I tend to eat a lot of. This makes it really simple for me to choose these at a tap of a button within Fuelin, not have to use an external app. If you have particular snacks that you eat all the time that you would like us to enter into and save in Fuelin, please just send them through to me. Send me what it is, the title, the ingredients, and if you want to send me the macros, happy to add them in. We'll make it easier for you. Okay. So I had that. I did my run, and then breakfast has been consumed this morning. What did I have? I used my Fitness Pal. I tap on that. This is what I had this morning. Okay. I had a glass of kefir. I had a little bit of chili in some scrambled eggs with salmon slices and a piece of toast. That was it. Okay. Oh, and I haven't added in. Where is it? And I had my 2 fists of veggies. I had half a bag of arugula. So that was all thrown in. Okay. So I overconsumed the carbs a little bit. Okay. But not too bad. So that's where I'm at the moment. Okay. So I'm pretty good. I hit my macros this morning. I was probably a little bit under on protein, a little bit under on fat, but it was okay. I went a little bit, I'm probably about right with fat and carbohydrates and protein in this meal. And all up total, I'm on track for the day based on what I've got up here. So that's how I tend to use Fuelin. I use a mixture of my Fitness Pal and the meals within. In terms of the meals within Fuelin, I will tend to select either the hand sizing or simple snacks and ingredients that I use frequently. And again, that's what the closed view looks like. For some reason, it's pulling up 2 runs at the moment from Training Peaks. I'm not quite sure why it's doing that, but I didn't do 2 runs today. And I've had that. So yeah, that's it at the moment. Does anyone have any questions while I'm doing a live demo on this?
Hi, Scott. I have a quick question.
Yeah. Hi, Lindsay.
Hi. So on your screen,
Oh, yep.
I can see it's got the values underneath for lunch, 50 grams of protein. So what you were saying before, distributing it through the meals. On mine, it doesn't have that, and I'm just looking to see if there's an update.
No, that's what I was saying. It's not released yet. So this is the demo view. I've been just so like, okay, so I'll give you, this is the coaching app. So if we go to you, it should be, yeah, there we go. So I can start to see what you, this is your plan, by the way, Lindsay. So we start to see what you should be aiming for. So this would be giving you an indication. So we're just trialing it in the background at the moment, but it's a good thing for you to be able to see. So you could see like you're on 120 grams of protein, 75 fat, 300 carbs. Your targets are fairly manageable. You know, like it would be much easier. Like you could see the difference between your target, my targets are double yours. And that's going to happen because I'm, you know, twice as big as you. So it's like, you know, it's nice to see those macro targets, but this is what's coming for all the users, which I think will be really cool.
Yeah. Thanks.
So yeah, don't freak out that you're not getting that at the moment. You will get it.
No, I just must have missed you say that because I was just looking in the outset, but that makes sense.
Yeah. So this would be the closed view or the compact view by tapping that bottom, those two arrows. So you would be able to at a glance go, okay, that's what I'm targeting for the day. And then you could go in, like you've got a swim today, you could tap on the swim, see what it is, and then go from there. That's good. You manage your plan very well, by the way. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Cool. Any other, is Fitness Pal better than Lose It? Brian, I think with this new, Brian's gone. I'll answer it in a minute. Got to run. Okay, cool, Joe. Thanks, Jordan, for sharing that. That's cool. I'll answer Brian's question in a little bit. Les, did you have any questions? Or Tammy, do you have any questions at this point in time? All good. Matt, you good? Gabrielle, any questions? Or Karen? All good. Do you have any, like, where do you get stuck on things? I guess is a good question to ask. Like, what do you wish? You know, we obviously did that survey with like what things people want to be improved, and we recognize the meal tracking within it needs to be better, and meal prescription. So we're really working hard to make those meals more precise to what you need to consume if you were to use the recipes within it. It's really interesting looking at user data though. Majority of users do use MyFitnessPal or Lose It. Now that may be a reflection on also the recipes and the way the food tracking is within Fuelin. But you know, what we also see is users use those external apps to a very, you know, a high proportion, but also very effectively. Brian, I was just going to answer your question. I think with the new, the cool thing about Lose It is that it enters every single individual ingredient into Fuelin. So the coach can then see that if you want the coach to see it. However, it makes it very extensive and very big to look at. It also requires you to add up all those individual macros to see if you've hit your target. So whereas MyFitnessPal only pushes through the macros for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. The advantage of MyFitnessPal now will be that you will be able to immediately see for breakfast, how did that stack up against what we were prescribing for breakfast? So I think in that sense, I think MyFitnessPal is going to be better for users. What I am encouraging athletes that I work either one-on-one with, or they have consultations and they want to know about actual what they're eating, take screenshots of your MyFitnessPal meals, i.e. breakfast, lunch, dinner, or your day, and then add that into the chat feature for your coach to look at. And therefore your coach can look at what you ate for breakfast, what you ate for lunch, what you ate for dinner, and what you ate for snacks, and then comment on the quality of those, what those meals would look like. So I think that's the best workaround there. But yeah, I would probably use MyFitnessPal now looking at it. What are you currently on, Brian? You're just on mute, mate. You're still on mute. We'll keep going whilst he's on mute. You can't hear him. Does anyone have any other questions at this point in time? Lindsay, did you have any other questions? I know you've come back onto the program, so where are you at with training?
Yeah, so just kind of getting back into the build towards CAMS. I actually did have a quick question. I've only just input CAMS as my race. I noticed, so with my plan, I've got a big race specific brick tomorrow. So 5 or 6 hours on the bike with a run off the bike. Now for today's plan though, it's not got the carb load in there. And I just wondered whether that was because I didn't have the race in there before, and I haven't rerun it. I literally just put the race in there now.
No, so we don't always carb load for long events, long sessions.
Okay.
So that would be something like, it's one of those nuances because like you've obviously got a 7-hour session, like that's long. And now like, this is one of those ones where I would say like reach out and just, that's probably an individual tweak. Like for a lot of athletes, like they might do a 3 or a 4 hour. You've got 5.5 grams per kilo body weight of carbs coming in, plus you're aiming for, 90 to 120 grams in that session with the runoff and aiming for up to 70 grams. For majority of people, that would cover them very, very nicely. I get what you're saying. In your case, it would be like, hey, just have a look at this. Yeah, I would bump up your Friday amount. Like I would carb load today for that tomorrow, Lindsay.
Yeah.
Like absolutely go up to 8 grams.
Yeah.
And that's good practice for you just to say, like there's always going to be some of those individual like little tweaks where if you've got, and that's a good thing for us to recognize, like, we can start to recognize, hey, if someone's got a 7-hour session, then we probably should just carb load for them as well. It's not something we've got currently in that system.
Yep.
But yeah, bump it. I'll bump it up anyway to 8 grams per kilo body weight.
I thought that, and then, I mean, not necessarily even just to fuel like energy for tomorrow, but just practicing that kind of, how much to take on, how will I feel, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's something we've discussed in the past, like how do we recognize when someone should practice a carb load? And we're trying to get it's trying to think through how do we do that in order to allow athletes to practice that carb, because it's something we talk about, like you should practice your carbohydrate load. It's how do we recognize that for all athletes to say, hey, this is an opportunity to practice your carb load based on the duration of that session. So it might be like, a threshold for a particular brick, and recognizing that. And it's something that, I'll flag with the team and we can come up with a solution. But yeah, definitely do it for tomorrow. Cool. Brian, have we got you yet? MyFitnessPal, is that what you're on? Can't hear you. Okay. I think if no one's got any other question, he's using lose it. Okay. Yeah, have a play. It just depends if you want to switch over as well, Brian. So look, I hope today was useful. Just to run through everything that is there within the program, and so you can understand how it works and how things are being sort of delivered to you. Maybe there was a few little features you're unaware of, and things that are certainly coming, which are going to be really exciting. They seem like simple additions, but I think they will have a very positive impact on everyone. So if we don't have any other questions, we'll leave it there and have a great day. Enjoy probably evening for most of you, but for Lindsay and I, it's mid-morning. So cool. Thanks, everyone. Please fill in the questionnaire at the end and just let us know future things you want and how the presentation went today.
Thank you. See ya.
Bye.